Woo boy! Welcome back to Street Scores. It's your boy Rico giving y'all a special edition of Redskins Report. I won't be able to bring y'all a post-game analysis of the Redskins versus Saints game or a preview of the upcoming Giants game, so I wanted to at least give y'all a guide to our 12 days of struggle. Buckle up and try not to cry. Let's get it. Let me start with the tough to swallow 34-31 loss to the Saints. It's so crazy because we looked like the better team for 85% of the game, but we simply folded. It was one of them games where it took like 10 things to go wrong, and if we only allowed 9 of them to go wrong, we would have won. But somehow we allowed all 10 to happen. Tragic. Big resemblance to the Falcons in the Super Bowl. Just ugly. And I can tell you from living down here in Atlanta, man, they been hurt and I almost felt the same pain. It's a shame we lost because a lot of people stepped up big, but dumb mistakes, missed opportunities, and simple folds allowed Drew Brees to lead his team back to victory. I'm not getting very deep into doing my individual player analysis like I do in my Redskins reviews, but I got a few things to point out for each person. First of all, Kirk played his tail off. That man went crazy. He made his fair share of mistakes, but he showed exactly why we need to offer him a huge long-term contract. Many people have been saying that he can't play well against great defenses. Well, with the hardest schedule in the NFL through 10 games, Kirk has led our offense to 26 points or more in every game this season except for the 17 points against the Seattle defense, which was the game where Kirk orchestrated that amazing game-winning drive in Seattle with all the noise. Kirk also played the Eagles, Vikings, Kansas City, and the Saints defenses, and they're all nothing to be played with, y'all. He has proved doubters wrong by doing a lot with little. Injuries all over the place. Potentially the best offensive line in the league has been in turmoil all season. We've started 12 linemen this season, which leads the league. Also, the running backs Rob Kelly and Samaje have either played poorly or been hurt for the vast majority of the year, and now Chris Thompson, the most dynamic player of the team, is out for the rest of the season. The wide receivers have vastly underperformed or been hurt. Kirk went from having 2 1,000-yard receivers to Vernon Davis, a 33-year-old tight end, being his deadliest deep threat. His favorite target last year, Jordan Reed, has only played like 3 games, and Kirk's most effective receiver has been running back Chris Thompson, who I mentioned just earlier, is out for the rest of the season. People, including me last year, have been scared to give Kirk a big contract, mostly because they are afraid that Kirk is not able to win when we can't pay to have better players around him. But Kirk has proved he can prosper with very little help. Also, Kirk has had some very great games on the road in hostile environments with a non-existent run game to distract defenses. So go ahead and pay that man. But back to the game against the Saints. Kirk completed 22 of his 32 pass attempts, many of them being flat-out drops for 322 yards and 3 touchdowns. No interceptions. He made some very accurate and smart throws, big boy throws. Took some risks like many of us complained about him not doing. He moved around the pocket with his eyes down the field. He also willingly took some big hits to make some great throws. Hell of a game, bruh. He did more than enough to get the win, but the defense and special teams let Nas down overall. The offensive line played well overall. Trent Williams was still less than 100% and played like it, but even injured Trent is top NFL tackle Trent. Sean Laval was terrible. That's it, plain and simple. Rookie Chase Rollier stepped in for Spencer Long and played well. Brandon Sheriff played very well. Not his best because he is also still hurt, but just like Trent, hurt Sheriff is still top NFL guard Sheriff. And Morgan Moses, who is also still hurt and limping, played well. Ty Nsekhe stepped in for Laval, who got hurt. Ty played very well also. The running backs played very well. We finally had balance. Chris Thompson was looking like his Pro Bowl bound self until he got hurt for the season. Samaje played very well. I'm proud and excited to see what he has stored for the future. The tight ends played well overall. Vernon Davis was deadly in the passing game minus some drop balls. Jeremy Sprinkle showed some promise in blocking, and he also had that wide open touchdown catch. First in his career. Congrats. And Niles Paul was open on a lot of routes but just didn't get thrown to. He did a great job getting that clutch first down on that fake punt, but he also failed to make the game-winning block on that 3rd and 1 when we were up by 15. Picking up that first down would have won the game. It's crazy. Game of inches, y'all. Little things. The receivers stepped up this game. They didn't play excellent, but it was much better overall from the group compared to the rest of this season. Josh Doctson was great in the first half and disappeared in the second half. Jamison Crowder was good, especially in that final drive to set us up for the game-winning field goal we never got to kick. Ryan Grant had a great game and was open a lot more than he normally is. He looked confident out there. And Maurice Harris was non-existent after his breakout game against the Vikings. Now onto this defense that held the Saints to 4 of 12 on 3rd downs, but folded the game in flashy fashion. Matt Ioannidis returned but was ineffective with that club on his broken hand. Ziggy Hood did what he was supposed to do, clog up the middle and stop runs, but he didn't do anything as far as pass rushing or pressure. Anthony Lanier played well. He got his first sack and had a team-high 2 quarterback hits. He needs more playing time. Stacey McGee was average and had that false start that took away our chance of getting 3 points. Jay Gruden is probably still red from that. Terrell McClain was out there until he got hurt. I mean, literally just out there being there. Ryan Kerrigan bounced back and played well with 4 solo tackles and recorded his sack number 65.5 of his career. He had bad moments but had a good game overall. Preston Smith played well but had that killer roughing the passer that would have forced the Saints to punt, but they ended up getting a killer touchdown. Junior Gillette had his season high in snaps played, 34, and snap percentage with 48%. He didn't look like his Saints version of himself, like I hoped that he would once he inhaled some of that New Orleans air, but he did get some hurries on Drew Brees. Ryan Anderson only played on 18% of snaps, but he had a decent game with those limited snaps. Got some pressure on Brees. Appreciate it. Zach Brown and Martrell Spate both played every defensive snap. Zach Brown had probably his worst game as a Redskin. He wasn't horrible, but it was nowhere near his usual Pro Bowl level. Martrell Spate was up and down. He was great at tackling, leading the team with 7 against the Saints, but he was bad in pass coverage. Josh Norman also wasn't terrible, but he was not his Pro Bowl self at all. He allowed 5 receptions on 5 targets for 78 yards. Breeland was lock up. He was targeted 10 times and only allowed 5 receptions for 55 yards, which is a 66.7 passer rating for Brees when he targeted receivers covered by Breeland. Breeland broke up 3 passes. He played very well. Kendall Fuller was targeted 5 times and only allowed 1 reception for 9 yards. He played very well. I thought he had a game-winning interception, but he was called for an illegal use of hands to the face, so the interception was null and voided, sadly. Fabian Moreau played 2 snaps, and him and D. Hall gave up a 24-yard pass on one of those 2 snaps. Not a good game. DJ Swearinger picked off Drew Brees. That was Drew Brees' first interception in 111 consecutive throws. That's crazy. DJ also had 6 tackles, but all of them were for first downs before he brought them down. So tragic. But DJ had a good game. Monte Nicholson was great until he got hurt. As soon as he got hurt, the defense crumbled. Sad. D'Angelo Hall stepped in and laid an egg. Horrible game, but he's still hurt and it shows. He only played because Monte got hurt. D. Hall had missed 3 tackles, and all of his 6 targets were caught for 67 yards and a touchdown. Terrible. The game was magical and tragic. We looked like a Super Bowl contender for 85% of the game, like we have plenty of games this season, but just couldn't finish. Jay Gruden was calling for us to go for it on 4th down multiple times, taking risks, and we converted them. One of them being a great pass from Kirk to Vernon, another was a fake punt right after Chris Thompson sadly got hurt, and we made some clutch offensive plays. Jay Gruden was calling up some nice plays, had a nice game plan with the little he had to work with, and we were balanced on offense for the first time since the Raiders game. Our defense had its moments of greatness, but also failed to step up when we needed them most. We allowed the Saints to score 15 straight points in just a little over 5 minutes. Tragic, but this loss isn't the worst of it. We are almost to the midway point of playing 3 games in 12 days. And even worse, we have an even larger slew of injuries. It keeps getting worse even when I think it can't. Chris Thompson is out for season with a fractured fibula, probably the best player on the team. Monte Nicholson, our best free safety, is in concussion protocol. Terrell Pryor is out for season after getting arthroscopic ankle surgery. I don't know what we're gonna do with him. More than likely just gonna let him go in the offseason. Defensive lineman Terrell McClain suffered a toe injury, and left guard Sean Laval suffered a stinger. He's also been placed on IR. But let's look at the list of players on IR for the Redskins, cause it's terrible. Terrible, just ninja scroll. Phil Taylor, Will Compton, Mason Foster, Arthur Jones, Jonathan Allen. Man, I miss Jonathan Allen. Trent Murphy, Rob Kelly, Keith Marshall, Chris Thompson, man, that one really hurt. Terrell Pryor, TJ Clemens, and Dustin Hopkins, the kicker. God, and that's just the injury reserve. Let's look at who's hurt that's not even out for season. Too many to name everybody. You see it on the screen. But most notably, Zach Brown, Vernon Davis, Quentin Dunbar, Ryan Grant, Matt Ioannidis, Monte Nicholson, Samaje Perine, Jordan Reed, and basically the entire offensive line. To make up for the 4 players we recently placed on injured reserve, we signed 4 players to our active roster. Defensive lineman AJ Francis, center Demetrius Rainey, running back LaShawn Daniels, and linebacker Pete Robertson. At this point, we're just trying to meet the minimum requirement for players on the roster. We are struggling. Injuries are so bad that Dre Gruden didn't even see a reason to practice this week before our game against the Giants on Thanksgiving Thursday. I've never heard of that. That's just ugly. I mean, we literally are going from playing the Saints to playing the Giants with no practice in between. But speaking of the Giants, Thursday night at 8 p.m., we faced the Giants on a short week, and they're fresh off beating a hungry Kansas City Chiefs. That was a very impressive win for the Giants, who just recently had a team meeting to fix their issues. Even though that meeting made no sense, the season was already down the drain. They should have had that meeting a long time ago. But that was their highlight of the season, beating the Chiefs. And now we face this team that only allowed the diddly Chiefs offense to score 9 points. We cannot take this game lightly. We also lost to the Giants last year when we had everything to gain and they had everything to lose and none to gain. We super folded the season away with that terrible game. Can't repeat that. We are going into this game with a slew of injuries. So Samaje Perine is going to have to be our best running back. Our offensive line is going to be very banged up, but they're going to have to perform. Our best free safety, Monte Nicholson, who is going through concussion protocol, may not play. Our already injured defensive line is hurt even more. Backup defensive linemen are even hurt now. And Josh Norman, who is supposed to be our best corner, has had a bad streak of games, and I'm hoping he can bounce back. It's looking ugly, but we are still the better team, so I'm expecting to watch us slump them up while I eat on some chicken and macaroni and cheese leftovers. And after playing the Giants on Thursday, we have to face the Cowboys in Dallas, which will be the final game of our 3-game and 12-day stretch. Ugly. We're the most injured team in the NFL, and now we have to struggle 3 games in 12 days? That's crazy. But we're gonna make it out of this dark hole victorious. Just y'all watch. And that's it for this short episode. Thanks for the view. With Thanksgiving coming and having to help out the family and everything, and with it being a very short football week, I was not able to do my usual run of videos, but I at least wanted to give y'all something. I couldn't leave y'all hanging. So make sure y'all Dolomite Fake Punch that like button, favorite, subscribe. I'll subscribe back, and most importantly, comment and share. And again, thank y'all for the support. I'll catch y'all later. Enjoy y'all Thanksgiving. I'm out.